Before I introduce my guest, I'm going to have tonight for you is a very star-studded guest list. Of course, everybody can join us tonight, but we're happy for those who can join us. So I trust the guys who are now looking at us on Facebook. Gabi, the mighty Gabi, prolific songwriter and performer, and has won the King, I think, some 9 times. Gabi in Barbados as the Calypso King. All songs like Cassandra and Jack Don't Want Me to Be on My Beach and all those great hits. We got them right here in Dominica in the Caribbean. As a matter of fact, he has graced us with many, many great songs, and we're very happy to have Gabi here with us. And of course, Chonada was one of our youngest king, probably youngest king ever in Dominica. I remember in 1981 when he won the crown. He was still a student at St. Mary's Academy the last year at St. Mary's Academy. And he won 3 crowns in that year. I think he still has the record of winning 3 crowns in 1 year. He won the SMA title, he won the Junior Monarch, and he also won the Senior Monarch with 1981 with something called Hold My Head Up High. And of course, the man Shaky, our first president ever in Calypso in Dominica, will also be joining us. He's right there. In fact, he has joined us already, and we'll be talking a little later with him. And Shaky, I think the Calypso Association formed some 1978. That's a long time ago. You young people listen to the program, you'll get to know something. And the guy is the doctor. We have Dr. Von James, and basically he's one who has been heavily involved in Calypso in the day. I went to grammar school with him. Of course, there's a few classes ahead of me. And everybody remembers Deba Pudeba. And when we had Hurricane David, this big song he had, King David. So we'll be talking about Calypso and yesteryear. And we're moving forward. We have Bingo right here in-house. The Bingo, of course, was the last president of the Calypso Association in St. Lucia. And he's still very active in Calypso. He sings here in Dominica. Unfortunately, he did not make it to the semis this year, but he has placed in our Calypso competition a couple of years ago. And he has been a staple in the competition for the past few years now. He'll tell us about his take on Calypso and, St. Lucia and management and everything else. Leaving no holds barred tonight. And, of course, a little later, we expect to be joined by our own president, Davidson Observer Victor. But before we do, I just want to give a little commentary to start to whet the appetite. And I always do a commentary and everything. And so my commentary goes like this. And that's on the competition which just ensued. Compared to last Calypso season, quarterfinals, most of the artists who took part last year, only Observer Bob and Joy rose above what was expected from last year. Most of the other Calypsonians basically fell from the standard set last year in the quarterfinals. However, one has to note that the reemergence of Liberator, Webb, and Sai has in fact added a welcome dimension. This year has been one of the leanest attended quarterfinals, notwithstanding the solid musical backing of the dependable swing stars, who had their first female drummer coupled with a new bassist. The meager turnout, more than likely, could be a reflection of the economy, as was indicative of Christmas less than a month ago. The songs reflected a level of concern and growing despair in Omi's We the People Starve, Webb and Tasha P, who called out for one more chance, Liberator's plea in Let's Build a World, Royal Village Matters, Life by Shadow Flow, Daddy Chess's Jado Like That, Mika's Save the Youth, to the defiance and pessimism and desperation of Jamma B, who resorted to just drinking his rum. Abia with Gun, G-U-N, Explosion with Mango Long, while Enlightener is still searching in Tell Me What to Sing. Even as Soul Post was unfortunately overlooked with the time is at hand, cautious optimism was exuded by observers in spite of it all, and joy with opportunity to change. But just as 9-time King Dice, who claimed he was a wanted man, and what I thought should be probably more applicable called or entitled Condemn Man, Bob came out swinging as he juxtaposed cricket and politics. He wasn't afraid to ruffle any feathers for fear of reprisal as he sang Batting in My Crease. The latter three, I think, topped my list of presenters that night. It was also historical as the Lloyd trio in the persona of Oracle, Explosion, and Sun Black Diamond all found favor of the judges. Meanwhile, Mighty D once again thrilled the fans from Talking Dogs to PM4 King, but still would be advised to work on his rendition and clarity of execution. Someone would then have to explain to me how the Soul Post did not find favor his way. And in spite of it all, If this was the semi-final, there would be no place for Black Diamond and Observer, who had two of the better composed renditions, and they rendered it properly that night. Not only the voters' list needs to be sanitized, but also the pool of judges. So ends my commentary. And before I go on, I just take our theme song again as I look at what Ali Gill, a judge from Grenada, has to say about Calypso to give you a little synopsis as to the thinking of another individual's commentary. Yes, you are right here with, of course, Unearthed. We are looking at the arts, culture, literature, or literary business. It's a new program where we review the arts, we do commentary, we do interviews, and we do performances right here in the studio. Last week, we had a wonderful time. It's Tuesday. Tell a friend, tell a relative, tell somebody. 6 to 8 every Tuesday. We are right here on Q95. There's a gentleman called Ali Gill, which I have a lot of respect for, and he writes the following as far as Calypso is concerned. The criteria for judging competitions are well known. Of course, lyrics, in Dominica's case, lyrics is 35 points, melody is 35 points, and rendition, is 20 points, and then presentation 10 for a total of 100 points. But of course, there are subheadings, which we'll discuss a little later in the competition. Just to say, in a nutshell, that basically, Mr. Gill says, presentation speaks of how the song is delivered in terms of clarity, voice, intonation, use of body, and so on. Presentation deals with appropriateness of how the artist presents his or her song and involves his costume or outfit, props, etc. In considering props, he notes, please note that it's not simple bringing a car, for example, on stage, having some elaborate stuff. A car on stage will not necessarily carry more points than a song which the artist gives all of himself or sings by himself. Melody. Without getting complicated, it deals with the ebb and flows of the song. In other words, if a song is just on one plane, then obviously there's not much melodic movement. Ali Gill says, imagine a heart monitor, and you have seen it on television many times if you have not seen it live, a heart monitor, or you see in the waves. He said, if the wave it moves in a straight line, that means it's a poor melody. Melody has to have movement to create that sort of synthesis in the music. Lyrics refers to the words in the song, and good lyrics requires a story to be told, just like a good essay with introduction, body, and conclusion. Above all, the lyrics should make sense. Now it is important. Now, for a lyrics to make sense, I might add that if you don't hear it, it cannot make sense. There are some calypsonians who sing, and because of their diction, you don't really understand clearly, and so you cannot really understand the development of the lyrics. So that is also very important. Now it is important to note, the gentleman mentioned, that Calypso is a song contest and not a singing contest. I want to mention that again. Calypso is a song contest rather than a singing contest. In other words, that persons will sing a song and it's not the quality of the singing that the judges are judging. Of course, Ali Gill says, the song has to be sung, and as such, the rules of singing are applied. But the basic requirement of the competitor, as far as singing is concerned, is to sing in key and hold the note. Hence, we had many different artists, and he's making mention of some of them. He speaks about places like Trinidad and Tobago, where Chuck Dust is not known for great singing, but he did won the crown 9 times, same as our friend Gabi there, who did in Barbados. He won it 9 times. We have a king here in Dominica, where he's a good singer. Dice, he's won it 9 times. So here, you can see there's a wide, spectrum of how somebody can present a song in terms of their vocal ability. Not all of us have the same ability. NC was not one of the best singers, but yet he could execute a song very well, and he could understand what he's saying. That is the focal point, to understand and interpret what the person is saying, and the person is singing key, and they're not off the key. He mentioned Black Stallion, Black Wizard, and the Beast, none of whom he says may be considered as best singers. In essence, singing principally applies, but Calypso Monarch is a song competition, another competition to be singing. So I will pause here because this is brilliant. in Calypso competition in Dominica. And as a result of that, we're just going to go straight into the action and activities right here. So right away we have Bingo, and we want to say good night to you, Bingo.
Welcome. I see my very good friend Gabby sitting next door. So let's hope we can have a very good discussion tonight. And,
Yeah.
hopefully we can get some solutions to some of the issues that we have, because I think there are quite a few.
Yeah.
But it's for a good discussion tonight.
Okay, cool. Well, the man Shaky, even if I come to observe, the man Shaky, I have to give him his honor because Shaky has been the first, or is the first president of Dominica's Calypso. So good night to you, Mr. Von James, Shaky James.
Well, good night. For me, it's still afternoon, but I'll take the good night anyway.
Okay, we'll look at that just now. You're not hearing it very clear at the moment.
What's that?
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
Okay. We'll just try to work on that. But of course, we want to tell you good night and welcome to discussion tonight as we try and, just talk Calypso. We know that we have administrators here and we also have persons who have been in the practice of singing Calypso. We have our King, Trinidad. A king is always a king, we say in Dominica. And so we still see King Trinidad. Good night, King Trinidad.
Hey, good night. It's a pleasure being here. I mean, I'm looking forward to having a good discussion. There's so many things to discuss. I'm just wondering how much can we cover, but we'll do the best we can.
Yeah, we'll start somewhere.
Yeah.
We'll start. And the man Gabi from Barbados. Are you in Barbados now, Gabi? Okay, Gabi, we're not hearing you at the moment. Your mic is off? Your mic is off, by the way, Gabi. Your microphone is off.
Hello?
Okay, right. You're here. Okay, go ahead now.
Somebody I just switched positions so that it would seem a little better.
All right. Okay.
I gotta zoom it up.
Okay. So Gabi, you were in Dominica.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, we're hearing you now. Yes, I'm hearing you a bit better now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, go ahead. So we're just welcoming you to the program. Yes.
Thank you very much. I changed positions so that it can be seen a little better. But I want to thank you first of all for inviting me. I'm not in the best of health in that I have dengue fever for the last 4 days or so. And I was, but thank God the fever broke last night, so I feel a lot better. I'm not coughing as much. I'm not shivering as much. I'm not aching as much. But what a pleasure to see my friend Bingo there. And the first thing I want to say is that I'm not 100% in agreement with the person who says that Calypso is not about singing. It is about singing.
Okay.
But traditionally, people always wanted to put down Calypso. So in order to put it down, they would say, oh, man, Calypso ain't no singing, man. Anybody can sing that. It is not true. Lord Melody was a singer. Kitchener was a singer. Sparrow is a singer. Baron is a singer. Sugar Aloes is a singer. Duke was a singer. And we can go on and on. Swallow, Arrow, Beckett. They were all singers.
Yes, they were.
So, you can't say that Calypso is not about singing, but I agree with the person then point that it's about the song, but it's also about the song and the singing. But it is also those two main components would be lyrics and melody. But what people don't realize is that all of those categories, rendition, presentation, lyrics, melody, they have subcategories that you don't see on the paper, but a good judge would know it. For example, you have to know what is rhyme or rhyme line, melodic flow, freshness, attack, horn risk, bass line, marriage between background vocalist and lead vocalist. There's so many other components that are not written on paper. And if you're a good judge, you would pick them up and you would know for sure what it's all about. I've seen in Dominica, in Barbados, in Trinidad, in St. Lucia, in Dominica, like I said before, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Several bad decisions made because people
we
get
just need to
carried
pause a
away.
while, Gabby, because I think we have lost you in terms of the voice. So I just want to say before we go on to somebody else, we get back, we're trying to rectify this situation, but I just want to say that I don't think, in all defense for Ali Gill, I don't think he was saying that basically you don't need to be able to sing. He is just trying to make mention that, well, as if too much emphasis is placed on singing, because there are many caliber students like Pin Panther who won the crown, Chuck Dust, who have dominated to a certain extent in Trinidad and is not known as a singer. But once they can sing in key and present, then that's it. But we'll come back to that point. Shaky, could you weigh in on that citation, that information that we got from Ali Gill in terms of calypso and singing? How do you look at it? What's your views on it?
I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me now?
I hear you.
Okay.
Can you come closer to your internet? There's something we're not hearing you quite clearly. I don't know.
Actually, my mic
not really coming through as we expect it to come through.
My mic is right in front of me.
Yeah.
We are still not hearing you very clearly.
Really?
But anyway, pause a while, Shaky. Pause a while, and we'll just go to the observer in the meantime, and then we'll come back to you while we try to rectify that situation with you right now with the microphone.
Okay.
So, in terms of, although observer might not be the best person to answer right now, being that he's a competitor, but we're trying to go around to make things happen because he's also a competitor. But from his own sheet, compiled by the Dominica Calypso Association, there we have a criteria, and the Gabi you spoke about earlier about subtopics and so on.
Subcategories.
Right? So we have lyrics, and in the Dominica situation, we have the storyline, okay? And we have structure, narrative, coherence, originality, which gives us a total of 35. On the melody, we have the basic melody structure, we have compatibility, rhythm, and I always mention that a couple of times you have calypso students, for instance, you're singing a song which actually is supposed to be sung in a mood that's supposed to evoke sadness. And here you are singing a song in a happy mood. And basically that can be a dissonance as far as that is concerned, your melody is concerned. So you might be a good singer, but not singing using the right melody to actually present that particular song. So that's also another issue. We also have rendition. Now, there was some years ago, there was a discussion, Dominica saying, well, when the Dices and the Bobs and so come into calypso, the Tasha P's, because they naturally have good voices, do they already have half of the points for rendition already? So you might want to weigh in on that. But rendition deals with articulation, diction, voice quality. Now, voice quality is 5 marks. What if you don't have voice quality? What happens? Some people don't really have voice quality. Some people have, but for instance, I like to hear, one of my best calypso students is the Shadow. I wouldn't say Shadow has great voice quality, but the quality of his voice suits his compositions.
But what do you say great quality?
Yeah, we'll come to you, Observer. We'll come to that on that, the quality.
Because quality is subjective.
Yeah, it is subjective. It is subjective.
So that's true. To me, when that even need to be reviewed, because things that are subjective should not really.
Yeah. So, presence, right? A presentation, stage presence, of course, performance. Well, we all know about, we have dismissed a long time in Dominica Calypso about that whole idea, thinking about props actually can make you win a crown or so. Although it actually stirs on the audience to do certain things, or it can also be a distraction, depending on how it is used. So it has to be carefully used. So let's see if we have you better now, Mr. Vaughn Shaky James. It's coming a bit better now. Yeah. Let's go on.
Okay. All right. Right. Having me.
Yes.
Good to be here. And I look forward to a good discussion. Let me start by saying I totally agree with Gabi.
Yeah.
Gabi is so right. Calypso is more than just about the song. It's about the singing also. And I remember in the old days, back in 1973-74, the judges' scorecards used to actually give points for singing and how the song came across. He used to give quite a few points for how you interact with the crowd. I do not know what the score sheets are like now. I live in Texas. I'm a law professor who happens to be blind, and I'm not so deep into calypso. I did listen to the quarterfinals, and Jacko, I disagree with you about the singers going down. I totally love the song by Shani. I didn't like her song last year, but I loved that song this year. It was a beautiful song. Well done. Now, I do not know who progressed and who didn't progress, so I guess you'll have to tell me. Did I hear you say Black Diamond didn't make it?
No, he made it, but I think he came out number 14, meaning that if it was a finals competition or semi-finals competition, he would not have made the final 10.
Well, I'm sure he'll improve himself for the next one. Because last year I found he had a very, very good song. My Grand Change was
right,
a beautiful song. I didn't like his second song on competition night, but that first song was really very, very good. So I'm hoping that he does better in the next round.
Right. Tell us, you guys can win. Trinidad, you can win on that topic.
Absolutely. I think that we are just putting too much into Calypso Georgian. All these subheadings are unnecessary. Do you think a man judging a Calypso on a night is considering all the, oh, I wonder if I can get points for that little Calypso, 1 point for this. This is so tedious that no judge does that. What is a great Calypso? Calypso is, well, you sing your song, and it's effective, it captivates the audience, the message makes sense, the lyrics, with the lyrics is coherent and it makes sense. To me, that's what a great Calypso is, because a tedious song with all the lyrics, imagine the dictionary to write the lyrics if you so choose. It's not going to make us better if it doesn't have a nice melody. To me, a Calypso is a complete tool, it's a complete, something that is complete. It's an entity, and to judge it as it's fragmented and it's all these pieces that you put together to make a Calypso is unwise.
Yeah, good point. I think Ozil, one of our veteran commentators on Calypso, he did mention that to me that this fragmenting of Calypso is not really necessary. But what it does, I'm sure you'll agree, Trinidad, if at the end of the day, the judges meet and they said, why did you give Mr. All that points for that? You have to have a way of defending it. And that's where the subcategories come in. You must be able to defend by saying something. You can say, it just sound nice. It just sound nice. What is nice? Well, it sound nice because the melody was so-and-so. This was so-and-so. This was so-and-so. And I just, I think that is what is the discussion.
Yes, but the categories of presentation, right? Articulation, if you want to call that, that's what I think you call rendition now, right?
Right.
Lyrics and melody. Like Gabi was just saying, what is presentation? It involves the way you deliver your song, the clarity of your voice, the way you bring that to the audience and interact with them and have them respond to you. That's what great Calypso does. If you watch shows in the US, when they have the guys just raising their hand from decibels, the long note that the audience made, it means that you impacted more people than the other guy. You had a better impression on him, and that's what makes great songs. Great songs that's supposed to last. Songs that people will sing for years to come because they are great songs. You can make a song great when you give it all the points in the good for lyrics and melody and fragment as much as you want. It will not live on. Great songs on because they are great compositions and it's a simple thing. A great melody, nice lyrics, is coherent on topic. As soon as I hear it, I understand the Calypso. Let's go.
So,
well, Jota, I hear what Trinidad is saying, right? But Franz, I hope you're not saying that we shouldn't give points for presentation.
Of course not. I mean, that's why I just said presentation is a major part of Calypso competition.
Okay, we agree on that. Because my mind went back to a few years ago. Trinidad had a song called Hope Springs Eternal, which in my mind, that was a beautiful song. But on the night of the semi-finals or quarterfinals?
Semi-finals.
Semi-finals, he didn't have much of presentation and he didn't make it. I was very sad because I really believed he had a good song. And I think he got booted out because of lack of presentation. Everybody else had this elaborate presentation, and Tronny didn't have that.
Okay, well, go ahead,
yes, what about think of it. Over the years, Calypso, in my opinion, has declined in Dominica. I mean, how do you know if Calypso is good or if it's not good? Do you think we can just sit there as the pundits or the people writing the songs and make that determination that this is a great song and this is not a great song? You have to influence an audience. The most important thing in Calypso is captivating the audience, delivering your message, and getting people to react. People react to good songs. So when you hear the majority of people overseas are just saying that hey, the calypso standard has dropped considerably. You have to consider it, and you must figure out what are they talking about so that we can improve it and make changes that will really make the show more competitive and fairer to the guys. Because we're living a good song simply because we think that a guy, oh, that's a simple song. Especially the pundits on the radio, these guys are doing injustice to calypso by coming and telling us what a good song should be when they have never written a song in their life. How can you tell me what is a good song when I ask you to write a song and you can't write one up till now? 5 years ago, I asked for a song, you can't give me one. Yet you keep telling people what a great calypso is and you can't give me a great song. Come on, we got to be realistic.
Yeah.
Let's have the authority of the guys like Shaky is a great writer. Shaky tells me something about writing. I accept it because I know that's an authority in the art.
Yeah.
So, but we can't let people that have never. Would you watch a football game and have somebody commenting on football that have never played the game and telling you how you should play, what you should have done when he has never encountered it and you've never done it in real to understand how tough it is when you're doing it? Come on.
Okay, song point, and can see the passion shown at that point there. Yeah, I just want to ask Mighty Gabi in itself. Basically, has Calypso become now a stage event? Because Shona is making a point that I know in the time in the 60s and 70s and the 80s, Calypso could influence changes in society. I am seeing that Calypso might become a stage event where people come to the show and they go about their business and they enjoy it. But Calypso could influence change before. Would you comment?
Yes, Calypso can still influence changes.
Okay. So
what has happened? Yeah. What has happened is that radio DJs don't play live recordings from the tanks anymore in any of our islands. So they don't get the chance to hear the real social commentary. Maybe only at the semi-final or final. In our case, it's only the final. We don't even have a semi-final. I was very pleased to see you all had a quarter-final and then a semi-final and final. In Barbados, we have just the final. We are hoping to get them to change that. You know, because
so how many people have really come into your finals? How many people that start the show? How many people that come in? How do you eliminate people? If 20 people register to Calypso, all of them will sing?
Yeah, what happens? They're going to the tent and judge.
Oh, I see.
When they judge in the tent, they're going to announce 18 that will make the finals. Okay. And you are singing one song. Mm-hmm. So that's how they do it in Barbados.
Okay.
But I am against that. I feel they should have a semi-final. I have it like a picnic setting because we have the place for that, right? In the botanical garden. Beautiful. But I will speak to the CEO again and see what the possibility of getting that back on track.
Yeah, well, I'm making that point, Gabi, and I'm open for everybody, bingo, everybody can weigh in, observer, because I mentioned that because I know in growing up, and Lambi knows about that in Dominica, that when a Calypsonian, when you find 8 Calypsonians sing about the government doing bad, and be very critical of the government, you can almost be sure that is the yardstick for the government falling. Today doesn't mean that. Because a lot of times in the islands, the person who wins the crown, people agree he wins the crown. For instance, in Dominica, you may say that Dice, for instance, is very critical of his calypsos about on the government. He wins all the time, but the government seems to be more emboldened. This could not happen 20 years ago.
If I may interject here, again, I think it's because we don't get the airplay necessary or merited.
Okay.
What happens is that those of us who are going to attend, or those of us who attend the show, they say, wow, fantastic calypso. But the DJs themselves on the radio don't play, and this is not a Dominica thing, it's across the Eastern Caribbean.
Okay,
they don't play those songs.
Let's see what Bingo have to say on that as far as the St. Lucia experience is concerned.
It's sad that a Calypsonian can no longer determine the fate of a government. I'm sitting here and on 2 different occasions, I brought down the government. In 1999 with a song called Kenny and Tony, the government was brought down.
Yeah.
And the Prime Minister, then Kenny Anthony sent a message to me saying he hopes I can sing about somebody else. And then a few years later, the Stephenson King administration where I sang a song singing My Job I Protecting. The government came down. I was in Dominica and I was brought to St. Lucia to perform the night before the election.
Wow.
All right, and brought down the government. So I don't agree with the fact that
Calypso has the same power now.
Calypso does not have the same power, and that's not too very long ago. So I think it can still happen. I'm agreeing with Gabby that the airplay you get in the tents, the reaction you get from the audience in the tents, determine how far a song goes. And in Dominica now we have to record a song, and you play the record. They play the recorded versions. You had no live music apart from the semifinals and the finals, right? Again, the other thing is probably the way the competition is run in Dominica. In St. Lucia, like Barbados, we have quarterfinals in the tents, each tent. So you have in St. Lucia, you have 4 quarterfinal nights, right? And then you go into a semifinal with 18 Calypsonians, and then you go into a final, right? So it gives the Calypsonian a little more time, all right? That the music is aired. You in the tents. The performance in the tent is something totally different to a live recording being aired. Right? You in the tent. You communicate with the audience. You get your encores, and especially if you have a song that is biting. You understand, and the audience, you get 3-4 encores. By the time the night is over, people see things differently. All right.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with Gabby that you can still take down a government. It's just that the DJs have a lot to do with it. And I think the live recordings, and what is more appreciative of a live sound than the recorded sound? I mean, it's totally different when you hear a recorded song, especially now when they use keyboard brass. When you get a full brass section, all your horns and so on, the feel is different, So that sells the song a lot more than when you listen to a studio recording.
It may have to do also with generational change that the people young people.
Let me say something else. That I don't know if you all are aware of this. But in Barbados, we only have 7 minutes to perform our songs. If you go over, you lose a point from each judge for every minute that you go over.
Yeah.
So if you went over by...
Before you continue, Gabby, just want to tell guys to just mute their mics if they're not using it. It's creating a little distortion. So go ahead. Yeah.
Yes. So if you you went say and sang a song for 8.5 minutes, that would be considered as 9 minutes. So every 7 judges, it means that you're going to lose about 21 points.
Yeah, well, we have that here
Each
too.
judge
So,
can take a point.
Yeah, we have the Calypso president of
Because of
Dominica right
staying
here.
too long.
Okay, so probably you can probably weigh in on that as to how it is structured in Dominica in terms, do you have people getting penalized for points? I can't remember that happening in Dominica, but he can probably weigh in on that as the president.
Yes, but again,
before you run off to that, could I ask a question?
Yeah. Go ahead, Chicken.
Going back to what Bingo was saying and what you said before, Jacko, about the fact that Calypsonians do not seem to be affecting society as much as we used to.
Right.
Let's go back some years here, right, in Dominica, to 1977, when the Calypsonians came out and just blasted the government, right? And that was my first year in the majors. I was a junior before then. I was only 16 years old, and there was I competing. And the next year, 1978, the year we formed the association, and the reason why we formed the association was that we received a directive from the government that for DBS Radio to carry the song, we had to submit our lyrics to the Carnival Organizing Committee. And they had to decide which songs could be performed or not. And we just found that was utter nonsense. We had a meeting at the Arawa Theatre. And the Calypsonians decided en masse we're going to form our own Dominican Calypso Association. As to why they picked a teenager to be president, I have no clue. But I became the president, and I remained president until I left for Trinidad, because Sparrow hired me. I moved to Trinidad. But we came out of a situation where the government was saying, we must decide what you sing. And we just refused to do that. The association has since grown, but I keep asking myself, I know Tronado is thinking the same thing because we were good buddies back then. Where's the militancy? Where has it gone? You know?
Well, we have the president right there. You can answer that.
Mr. President, talk to me, my friend.
Super.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Good evening to everybody. Good evening. As it relates to the point that on the matter of whether Calypso is still effective as it relates to being able to bring down bring a government down or bring a government up
Or bring changes, basically.
or bring changes, you have to look at a few factors, because everything has to be viewed in the context of how effective a Calypsonian can be. So, for example, you may have to take a few things into consideration. One of the things that you have to take into consideration is that you may have to look at the disparity between the amount of seats that the sitting governments has in comparison to the amount of seats that the opposition have. The closer the amount of seats that they share, it might be easier for a Calypsonian to be effective in toppling, because you may let's say, for example, if you have the government having, let's say, 11 seats or 12 seats, and then you have the opposition who is having, let's say, 9 seats, and then the government is not performing as effective as they should, and then you have a Calypsonian or Calypsos who can bring that sense of awareness as to the lack of performance of the government, it might be effective enough to at least get the opposition during a campaign to get 3 more seats and topple the government. But if you, for example, you have where a government has 90% of the seats and then the opposition have 10% of the seat, it might be a lot more difficult. So that is one factor that you may have to look at. The second factor that you may have to look at is that you may have to look at reach. What amount of reach that the Calypsonian may have as it relates to his or her song reaching the masses. So, for example, you may have radio stations, and the radio station that may be more obligated or more interested in playing the Calypso that can topple the government, they may not have as much reach as to reach the masses. So the songs might be playing, but not really reaching the mass amount of people. Another factor is that while that may be happening, you may have the persons who are defenders of the government may have that reach that the Calypsonian don't have. So you have 3 things working. And then another thing you also have to look at is that whether who the government is going to be toppled for, what is their level of preparedness? So you have many factors that may come into play as to how effective a Calypso or Calypsonian can be as it relates to making change.
But observer, I just want to interject you shortly because I don't want the public to think that we are talking about toppling government.
Oh, no.
The focus is that when Calypsonians sing, are they effective enough in making change happen, no matter what it is? It can be policy, it can be way we view things, it can be way people look at things, it can be the education system or whatever. That's what it's about. And the points that you raise about Calypsonians and the power, I think right now Calypsonians have more reach than before. Now we have computers and everything. So in terms of reaching people, you know what I mean, there's more reach. But I think there's a fear of reprisal. So maybe there's something that we have to look at. That might be what happened. Before time, maybe guys could critique the government and not be fearing the reprisal, or maybe how it was done. For instance, when Rabbit sang, and he's supposed to be, you should be in that program, but he could not join us today. When he sang You Follow, you know, or when he sang Never Hang Your Hand Where Your Hand Can Reach, or Marry the Girl Charlie. Yes. The president served at the time, he wasn't president at the time, CSA president, he was in the band playing mass on that. Can you find that happening today? people take it more personal, and the way that use it, and probably if there's an opportunity where they can press you or suppress you, you might find people are facing those reprisals. So there's a fear. Is that fear warranted? And why has Calypso dwindled as a result of that fear? And that's the question I pose to you, gentlemen.
Well, Jacko, let me jump in on this, right? Uh, you're so right. There used to be a time the government ministers and officials didn't mind when we criticized them. I remember bingo. I was singing in St. Lucia in 1980. St. Lucia had changed their carnival to May, I think it was. So I finished the tent in Trinidad. We did a short tour, and then I ended up in St. Lucia. And I was singing in a place called Denry, and I just got to the line of my song, Done with John Bancompton, make sure they get out. When in walked, the crowd started roaring, and I wondered why. John Compton had just entered the building. And people just found it strange. He came in just when I was saying Ban Compton. Mr. Compton actually came on stage and danced with me. We shook hands. We had a wonderful time. He asked me to sing the song again. I did. And there we were. I'm saying Ban Compton, and Compton is holding me, and we're dancing on stage. That doesn't happen now. Last year, I heard some things out of Dominica which frightened me, where the Prime Minister said that Calypsonians need to learn to ride calypsos properly and not to criticize. And when Powell, a good friend of mine, supported that, I actually called Powell on the phone and said, "Brother, what nonsense are you talking? Don't you know why the association was formed in 1978? How can you be saying that we shouldn't criticize?" So Powell and I had a big argument about this. We're still friends, but I totally disagreed with him in giving support to that kind of thinking. I'd like to just go back to the days where Compton could have come on stage with me and dance while I was singing Down with John and Compton.
What happens in Barbados, Gabi?
Well, I would say that for many years, you had politicians who were not so thin-skinned. But today, you will find them want to use Bible laws and scandal laws and all kinds of things against Calypsonians. In my case, I had the most banned songs of any Calypsonian, any part of the world. Every single year, I used to get banned. So I was like, oh, Sam Jack, one day coming soon, in force. And I could go on and on and on and on. Every year, at least one song. For 20 years straight, I had at least one song bad. And I remember a year, I had come out the competition altogether. And when Arthur, who was the Prime Minister at the time, called me, and he said, Gabby, I want you back in the competition. I said, Chief, I can't do that. I got to write songs for other artists, but I'm not compete. He said, no, man, you got to come back. Let me tell you what to do. Sing something about me. I get bugged away. I said, you sure? Because I got be acid, you know, this song will be acid. He said, I don't care. Art must not be stifled.
Yeah.
And I sang a song called No Sympathy, when you throw your bat on me. And you know what? When Arthur called me the morning after I won the crown, and he said, congratulations, a brilliant song. But today, you might not get that.
This politicians are sadly lacking today. Basically, in terms of Calypso, what would you gentlemen say is the role of the Calypsonian? Just before we just take a break, just think about that. What today is the role of Calypsonian? Apart from all what you have said, the resistance to, change, and with the impending different music in Dominica, we have bouillon. I mean, I guess in your guys came with your ring bang a certain time, and ring bang was a challenge to your Calypso in Barbados. I remember one time, Gabi, and here in Dominica, we have bouillon. In Trinidad, we have what we call the jump and wave, the soca element of it. Yes, Gabi, you were saying something before we close up that section.
Yes. I was saying that Calypso has always had challenges.
Right.
In the 1930s, you would have had the jazz and so on, challenging calypso. In the 40s and the 50s, you had what we considered as like rock and roll. Then into the 60s, the soul music. Then the 70s, the reggae came along, and so on and so forth. Correct?
Yeah.
So every decade or so, calypso has challenges, and people say, "Oh, then calypso soon finished." But it has long tentacles and strong tentacles,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe it's going to be here long after we leave this earth.
Okay, well, we'll discuss and explore that a little more as we take a short break. We just want to ask persons that when you come back, you can call 305, is it 432-9624? 432-9624 if you're in the overseas line, and or on air number. If you are right here in Dominica or anywhere in the region, you could call 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097. You are into Unearthed, and when we look at the arts and the literature in Dominica, we'll just come back shortly. Unearthed. You're back to Unearthed, and we're looking at the judging and calypso and all aspects of calypso in the region. And we're happy to have Shiki here with us, King Shiki. And those younger persons who might not know who is King Shiki, he's now a doctor, a professor, and he actually was the first president of Dominica's Calypso in 1978. We have Trinidad, our king also of 1981. He what you call a free pit king at that year because he won the SMA Monarch competition. He also won the national competition, and he also won the junior, both junior and senior competition in one particular year with one of the all-time classics, Hold My Head Up High. So Lami probably could look at, see if you can get the song for us, or one or two of the songs that the guys had. And just want to invite persons to call in at 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097. Guys, you right here, just remember, if you have any noise in the background, and please mute your mics if you're not talking, so it helps with the broadcast here. And please try and minimize on any noise that you probably might have in the background. So we have a number of persons listening, of course, to the program, we're sure. And we just would ask you you could weigh in, you could call in and share your views. It's not just about us alone. So we have a call online right now. Yes. Yes, good day, caller. Good evening.
What's up, man? What's up? What's up?
Yeah, man. Cool, man.
Cool.
Have you recognized the voice?
Not quite.
This is the Black Heart.
Black Heart.
Jeff Joseph.
Jeff. Oh, Jeff. Oh, my. Hey, Jeff, what's up? What's
Man,
up?
you forget that was my Calypsonian by statement.
Jeff Blackheart. Yes, yes, yes. That's true. That's true. That's true. Yes. So
You're not getting old yet, so your memory should be sharp.
yes,
I,
yes, yes.
I don't know where I don't know where the song, This
Yeah.
man thinking old and he should be sharp.
So Jeff, what's up? What's up?
That man later, who is with you, Gabi and this guy?
Yes, Gabi. We have King Shaky. We have Trinidad, and we have Observer and Bingo in the studio.
Fantastic. Welcome, guys. Welcome, welcome.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
So do you?
You know,
Yeah, go ahead,
you
Chief.
know the Dominican Calypso Association.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think they have that sort of independence in them as they used to.
Okay.
Right? When the association was formed in 1978.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I entered the arena in 1978. Good?
Yeah.
And you remember at that time that COC was the one hosting the Calypso Association.
Yes. Kind of an
Calypso
organized
show,
committee. Yes. Uh-huh.
right? And Calypso decided that we were boycotting the Calypso competition because they wanted more money.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I had just entered. So I said to myself, but I just entered. Why? How come? I mean, that's the opportunity for me to perform on stage. And I said, guys, Calypso competition supposed to be a Calypsonian thing.
Right.
Good?
Mm-hmm.
You only want to compete in the show that is hosted by the COC. Let us form our association.
Mm-hmm.
And Calypsonians like to quarrel and they're not listening to you. Good? So they was around and they say, hey guys, are you listening to Black Hat Man? Right? So right away he said, I nominate Black Hat as president.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, guys, that is not fair to the other Calypsonians who have been there before me. I'm just entering now.
Okay.
Okay? So I immediately nominated Shaky
All right.
as president because he was the reigning king at the time.
All right.
Good? And it was seconded and he accepted right away.
Mm-hmm.
Good? So for secretary now, they again nominated me. I said, guys, please nominate somebody else. Good. I'm very happy that I came up with a suggestion, but nominate somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Black Hat Man, we don't really want to get into the history, but can you probably answer what do you think about Calypso today in your time and in your time? What do you think has changed?
It has dropped to some extent.
Dropped in what sense?
In terms of composition,
okay,
and rendition.
Composition and rendition, okay.
Yes, it has dropped to some extent.
Mm-hmm,
okay?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've listened to a few good songs this year.
Yeah.
But the fact about it is that the competition now is not as tight as it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have very good songs. Very, very, very good songs.
Okay.
And Calypsonians have to ensure that when they went on stage, they had to deliver.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because there was competition.
Mm-hmm.
All right? So, I'm not sure as to, may his soul rest in peace. One of our great composers have passed in the name of the right late Honorable Patrick John.
Yes.
He has passed.
Yes. So why now? Yeah.
And it's a while now.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact about it is that when Deb, and of course you are still there. Mm-hmm. You're a very good composer.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm not sure as to how many Calypsonians you can write for during Carnival.
Yeah, we have all limitations, yes.
Okay?
And Pat Aaron, of course.
So the fact about it is that I believe what has to happen here is that the association should try to, sit towards having some composition workshop. All right?
Mm-hmm.
For maybe the guys now who are getting to more mature age, mm-hmm. that they can write songs.
Mm-hmm.
All right? To get them into that, because the fact about it is that, hey, bro, you're not going to be there forever.
Okay, well,
All right? We're not going to be there forever.
yeah, Blackhat, that matter we'll deal with it in a subsequent time, but we're trying to facilitate our guests there. What we're dealing with right now is
so that is what has to happen.
yes,
That's what has to happen. And even in the schools, the school competition,
yeah,
that is of utmost important.
yes. Well, thank you
Because
very
that
much
is
for
very good.
listening and for your intervention. Well taken.
Thank you.
Well said. Yeah, thank you very much. We have another call online. Can you take that call? Yes. Hello.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hi. Good evening.
Very interesting program tonight. First time I'm listening to it.
Yeah. Yes, it was the second one.
But I'm listening to this.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I enjoy listening to every aspect of it. But what's his name? Victor said something earlier about the percentage in government.
Victor?
Victor? Yeah, that's me.
Oh, Davison. Oh, you said Victor and that Blue that helped me because I saw Constance over. I saw Constance observer. I forgot the guy is Davison Victor.
The name observer discovered.
Yeah, it told me.
Everything good night to all the people on the program, including the mighty Gabi. Yeah, I love Gabi Calypso, especially.
Oh, yeah, man.
Just don't want me to bathe on my
Beach, right?
I love that song very, very much. But the other Calypsonian bingo and not to a customer if it's Calypso.
Yeah.
My Calypso is well Trinidad, Dominica, and some Barbados.
Yes, yes, for sure.
But Victor said something earlier on. But I said percentage of people in who have government, who have high government, who have opposition. I don't think that's the idea. Tola. That is my take on it.
Yeah.
I think right now, the people know even if you sing about the government, they know it's true. They know what you saying is true.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll be thinking, but if I take out that government there, when I take out the government there, the government might not give me what that government giving me. The freeness, the free. And Victor, you should know that.
Of
Say
course.
like it is.
Of course.
Bye-bye.
Yes. Very candid as usual. And very solid point there. Trinidad, when you sang Hold My Head Up High, in those days, we have sung songs like that already. Even this year, we are hearing songs similar to that, as if, well, songs of hope, no matter in situation of despair. What was going through your mind that time? What was the issues of the country that would warrant you to sing a song, I Gonna Hold My Head Up High? Okay, we have lost.
His mic is off. His mic.
Oh, your mic is muted still, Trinidad.
Trinidad, your mic is muted.
Yeah.
Yes, okay,
Right,
better.
Got it.
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, actually, that song was born out of shame. So if you most of the Hold My Head Up High thing was because I'm a young Calypsonian coming in, and it was an appropriate issue. And so many young people were getting involved with my school and thing at the time that I was in Calypso. I felt it was an appropriate song. But the sentiment of what was behind it, that's a man right there. You can ask Vaughn and he can tell us exactly what is the sentiment, which I don't think we want to talk about right now. But it was applicable to me because at the time when I was in the Calypso, I was the youngest guy around. And there were lots of boobies, I would say, in Calypso at the time. Guys used to tell me, like, go to your mother's house, what are you doing around here?
Yeah, the NCs and the boys like that, yeah.
The only guy that allowed me to see was NC, and she was like a dad, and she was there.
All right.
No, I have to be there. I have to do what I have to do. So NC helped me, and so it was so appropriate for me to sing that I'm going to hold my head up high because all around me, guys trying to oppress me and trying to keep me down. So it became one of the greatest songs ever.
Yeah, so tell us about Shaky, about that Deba Pudeba. What was the Deba that you were talking about in those days?
Well, let me first talk about Hold My Head Up High.
Hold My Head right.
Trinidad and I have been friends for ages, ever since we were at high school. And he used to sing at the SMA competition, and I was GGS Calypso King. And then we went together on a trip to Guadeloupe and all that good stuff. Hold My Head Up High came out of a personal experience I had in the music industry. I had moved to Trinidad. I was at the studio all night long, waiting to record David Blue and Deba Pudeba, and had some interesting experiences. I went home to San Juan. I used to live in San Juan, and I went home and wrote the song. That was the easiest song I ever wrote. because everything was just so raw to me that as a young man, a very young man, I just saw the need for for us to stand for what we believe and stand for ourselves because there were forces which were trying to keep us down. And so I wrote that song, and then Tronny, my good friend, said, "Do you have anything I can sing?" And I said, "Listen to this." He loved it immediately, and he just took it. And I think he did a better job at it than I would have done because I would be too caught up with it and the emotions of it. He felt it and he knew it because he was going through the same things himself. And that song just worked out fantastic. Hold my head up high.
Gabby.
Now you asked me about Deba Pudeba.
Yes, Deba Pudeba, yes.
Deba Pudeba was an interesting song. It was two songs that I actually put together. I used to write a number of songs every year, and then in 1977, here I was with two different songs completely. And I was playing them out in Marigot. I was out there in Marigot with IP and the rest of the people, all these good people in Marigot. And they said, "Shaky, why don't you just combine these two songs and make one song out of them?" I thought it was a good idea, and so out of that came Deba Pudeba. It came out first as This Year, and I sang it at the quarterfinals, and Mikey Bruni didn't like it. He said, "Shaky, this has great music, good arrangement, but your lyrics are childish." Well, I was a child, I was a 16-year-old kid, right? And he said, "Give me a shot at this. Let me see what I can do." And Mikey Bruni rewrote the lyrics.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
But he wrote the lyrics.
I know he was this.
And it was just a powerful song. I changed the lyrics when I moved to Trinidad because I had to make it relevant to Eric Williams and Matthew and so on, you know. But the original song from Dominica was written by Mikey Bruni. What I recorded was what I had written in Trinidad. So the recorded version is different to the first one.
Okay, Gabby.
Credit to Mikey on that one.
Yeah. Just before we take that caller, Gabby, what about you and the song Jack? I know it had a big influence in Barbados. What happened to that song in terms of the person's response and the government and everything else?
That was amazing. I wrote the song. I sang the song because this guy called Jack there. He was a very big and important man in this country. He was the chairman of the board of tourism. He was also lawyer for the vast majority of hotels in this country, and also for many of the big residences and so on. So I had read in the paper where he had said that the property owners have the right to bring their property down to the high water mark, which I thought was ludicrous. So I called him. I said, Jack, this is Gabby. He said, what do I owe to this, sir? How can I help you? I said, well, I saw this statement by you about the high water mark. And he said, this is not about me. This is the law. And I said to him, Jack, I got something to tell you. I have no respect for the law at all. Unless it has justice. That law ain't got no justice. And if you don't withdraw or disassociate yourself from that statement, I am going to immortalize you in stone. And he laughed and he said, Gabby, no sound can't do me anything. But we have a lot of money, but I will be seeking my rights. If you said anything that is defamatory, libelous, or scandalous against. I told him, Jack, trust you me, this song is going to be so powerful that you're going to be happy not to do what you just said. So I sang the song live in the tent, and it was like nearly 2 months later that I got the chance to record it with Eddie Grant,
Mm-hmm.
which was my first ever recording with him. Man, when that song hit the market, we have never seen anything like that in Barbados. Since then, or no.
Yeah.
The
And you have
people,
become synonymous with the song.
yes, and I mean, the people were lighting up at the record shops, big numbers, and people were buying 4 and 5 copies one time to send to their aunt and their brother, their uncle, and this and that. And he had a mailbox, and his mailbox was overflowing with mail. I mean, he couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. He was a big man, over 300 pounds.
Yeah.
And in less than a month, he had lost 50 something pounds and had nothing to do with the diet. It was
Well,
just
Gabby,
that he
we just
couldn't
want to
sleep.
just take a small pause because we also take a pause
By the
because
way, I
yeah,
must tell you, I have to leave. I have to leave now. But
you
it
have to
was
leave
such
now.
a
Okay.
pleasure being here with you all.
But yeah, thank you. And you know you're not too well, and we're glad for the opportunity to take in. And we'll certainly air that Jack that many of the young people might not know about the Jack, and we'll also air Deba Pudeba and a couple of the tracks right now. So we hand over to Labi just to give us a little taste of one of the songs. Yes. We have a call on the line before. Yes, caller. Good evening. Welcome.
Yes, good night.
Good night. Good night.
Good
night, my brother.
gentlemen. Observer, good night.
Hey,
Yes,
what's up,
yes,
bro?
yes,
What's
yes.
up, my brother?
Yes,
Yeah, I
Shaky and Mr. Bingo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Gabi as well. Gabi there. Still.
Gabi. Okay,
Yes.
Gabi.
Yeah, man.
Bingo, you know you and I have a case from Dominican take the most beautiful woman from Maho, and we have a problem. I have a
That's the man Paben. That's the man Paben, Gabi. That's the man Paben. You must know that guy.
yes,
That's the second time you're making that statement.
Paben, if anything happened to Bingo, I know where to send the police here.
no. I just gonna I'll handle it carefully. Don't
So
worry.
we'll have
I know it's not a-
we'll have Gabi do you like Jack and make a song on you. That will last forever.
yeah. But
Yeah.
guys,
Yeah.
listening to the historians of Calypso, all right, and what I've learned from the roots of Calypso, where it came from the plantation. Am I right or wrong?
You're right.
Yeah,
You're
man.
right. Mhm.
Yes, and what used to happen is that the slaves there used to be oppressed, and they used to sing about the slave, the master, the slave owners.
Right.
They used to sing. Now that's the foundation of Calypso, right? Now it translates. We don't like to say like the slave masters and stuff like that. We have the government,
Right.
the policy makers, the people that basically give us the rule to live by. And if we have been if we are oppressed by them, obviously we will sing about them, about our oppression.
Of course,
Certainly, yes.
of course.
That's the foundation of the Calypso. And if we take that out of Calypso, then if you're on the foundation no more. So it doesn't make any sense. It really hurt me a lot when I listened to some guys on the Nation station, Dominica Nation station, and one of our biggest name in Calypso, said that nobody wants to go to a park and listen to people sing against the government. It really hurt. And this is what made the guy that gave him 3-4 crowns, that made him. And right now he has a problem in other Calypsonians going to sing about the same thing that made him who he is
Yeah.
and what he is today. And we have to look at that seriously. Another thing is that I think the Calypso have evolved, and things changing,
Right.
And we have a Calypso association, and most of them are Calypsonians. And especially when season comes. It's very, very, very rough for them. And I personally believe the Calypso Association should voice somebody out there that probably is not a Calypsonian, but is a lover of Calypso. And I want to be involved in Calypso to connect the Calypsonians and the people. Because no matter how you watch it, whatever the Calypso prepare is for the consumption of the massive,
Right.
So I don't think that the Calypso Association is connected enough with the people. And I think there should be some kind of connection. Because sometimes when you don't hear about the Calypso, you and speculate, and then
Yeah, you're breaking up a bit. So, Paben, we got the point. We got the point about your social Calypso, and obviously we'll deal with that particular matter. But just to say, also just before I forget that, Trinidad, yourself and Shiki, and of course Gabi and one or two other persons, we want to get them. I personally want to get them to judge, at home, follow our semi-finals, and make some judgment on it, and probably could tell me what you feel about the Calypsos. I want you to act as judges. You're not in the park, but online you can look at lyrics and melody and give a judgment for me to see, have a understanding as to how you'll go about judging particular Calypsos. And yeah, being good, just want to add something there. Yeah.
Just 2 points. Paben made a point a few minutes ago that I have a personal experience with it. The commentators, a couple of the commentators on that said radio station. I mean, last year, there's a particular one that made a particular comment. But in my view, and in the view of many people that I've spoken to, those commentators are not supposed to be dissecting your song.
Right.
Right? And I'll give you a classic example. On quarterfinal night, normally I get a parking spot very close to the stadium. And when I get off stage, I run to my vehicle
To listen to the comments.
listen to the comments.
Going yes.
Now, I stopped that a couple of years ago, but I started again because of that particular individual. And I got back in my vehicle, and there was the guy making I was singing at number 10. You hadn't heard the remaining 22 Calypso.
Yeah.
But he was making an assumption that Bingo is going to get difficulty in making the semi-finals tonight.
Wow.
He did the same thing last year. He
that's
criticized
not
the
right.
song from day one, and I've asked myself, I don't know the guy personally.
Yeah, I know.
I've seen him around.
I know.
I don't know him personally. But I'm not looking at it from my standpoint. And he did that for a number of other Calypsonians, right? But, that is a sad thing. A commentator similar to an MC, and I must congratulate the MCs on Saturday night.
Yes.
They were just bringing the
On.
Calypsonians on stage. But you had these two guys on DBS radio criticizing every single thing. It's like they were judging. They got to a point at the end of the first round. One of the gentlemen would tabulating.
Oh my!
They were tabulating and saying,
"Well, that's not the rule. That's not the rule of a commentator." And that's what Trinidad just said at his opening statement about persons that never wrote a song and don't know anything about the Calypso.
Between you and I have started to pen another judging song, and I'm going to be asking the questions: who are you to be judging me?
Yeah.
Right? What have you done to qualify you
to judge
me?
Precisely.
You understand? Those two guys we're talking about, from what I know or heard of them, they've never written a song. They've never played a note. They've never written a poem. But they're on a national radio station criticizing what you've done on a night's performance. That has to stop. We can't continue that way, because all you do, you discourage Calypso fans. Right, you damaging the art form, and these are the same guys on the same night making the point that Calypso is dying in Dominica.
Well, I'm a writer and once a Calypsonian, Calypso president, and I've never gone air, and I've had opportunities to be on air to criticize a man's song. I will give a holistic view of the song, and that is why I want to bring to the Calypso Association's ratings of when you put your point system, so you can rate somebody if they are good or bad. But I think we have another call. Okay, we can go along. Well, gentlemen, basically, can we just hear something, one of the songs, Deba Pudeba, one of the songs to give our people a synopsis of what it sounds like from Shaky or one of our Calypsonians right there. We just
poverty, misery. Most people complaining, no money, they hungry. They can't stand that sin. All prices rising, factories are closing. Most can find a home, even children suffer alone. But when labor they come, they go shaking it down. People from everywhere jumping like they care. Saki baka play, family you guys don't play. Although me stand back way, shall come breaking away. Checking up the road, jumping in the place, picking up the room, and they having it fun. I first no back way, chop on back as way, chop on way. Good business, happiness.
I grew up bathing in seawater, but nowadays that is the horror. I only venture down by
Good evening. Good evening.
Yeah, welcome to the program.
Yeah, all right.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening.
I am trying to recall what year was that song.
1981.
1981. Guys, good evening. I'm listening.
All right, cool.
Thank you. Yes, we have another caller coming online here. Good evening.
Hi, I could barely hear you guys. But anyway, I'm listening to a very interesting conversation.
Okay, thank you.
But I want to add one thing, and the brother Bingo just touched on it. I want to ask, I don't know, since Observer is the president of the Calypso Association, he might can answer that, or anybody for that matter.
Right.
Why is it the government cronies are so heavily involved in judging of Calypso? Because Calypso is not anything to do with the government. So if you have someone judging their song, and if they sing a song that is not likable to them or their government in power, they tend to want to strike it down regardless of the caliber of song. Because I heard about that earlier this week, and here my brother just now mentioned it again. So I would like to know, listening, if someone could answer that. Oh, whether there can be something like the brother said earlier on, this had blowback against certain things like that in the 70s or whatever. When you talk to the Shaky, when you talk to the guy, Black Hat Man, you know. So people need to learn to stand up and defend what is supposed to be theirs, not everybody else's. A Calypsonian come to sing a song. Is his creative piece of work. He's putting us out there. And you have some people who are politically leaning, trying to judge them or discredit their song, regardless of how good the song is or how not good the song is. It doesn't matter. They have no space in that. You judge the song based on performance, melody, lyrics, and you don't. I don't know. Somebody answer the question for me, please.
Yeah, well, just before the president comes on, I'd like to say, being a former president myself, the presidents don't take part in the judging, or even in the judges, because basically they solicit persons, they go out and get school teachers and persons who volunteer, they have workshops, which the president tries not to get involved in, because obviously he's a participant, so to keep a level of transparency, and I'm sure that happens with Observer up to now, and of course he'll speak for himself, but that's what usually happens. For instance, I have suggested a couple of judges for Observer, and other persons have suggested for him, and they come to workshops, and when they show that interest and the aptitude to do that, they put them on. So political persuasion is never a criteria. As you know, people have their own political feelings and leanings, and as time goes on, people may change. Today, a person might decide they want to support Labour Party, tomorrow they are workers, or something personally aggrieves somebody, and they feel strongly about a song, and they cannot divorce themselves from the song and actually what has happened to them. And that some of the human influences comes on the scoring sheet. Now, we want people that can divorce themselves from that situation, and there are very few of us. No matter, even though you say about it must be fair, whatever fair, there are judges you think that are very fair in society, and put them in front of some Calypsonians, and I tell you, it's something different.
But just a matter of information, the persons that Bingo referred to, they are not judges.
Commentators.
They are commentators who are on their radio station, and they are employed by the radio station, the radio entity. The radio entity just came, just like just like all other radio stations. They came to cover the event, and they have their commentators, and the commentators doing what they want. We don't have any control over what commentators say. We usually try to impress upon them that as much as possible, try not to do or say things that can hurt the Calypso and the Calypsonian as it relates to their song and so forth. But at the end of the day, it's grown people, and we didn't employ them. Their entity employ them, and they do what they want. But the judging panel is something different. The judging panel are a component of the Calypso Association in terms of the group of people or the partnering of the different sectors. So the judging is one part, the Calypsonians are the other part, the management of Calypso Association are the other part, then you have the media, and then you have the other people. So the judges that we have are not the ones that Bingo is referring to. Those people Bingo referring to, they are not judges, they are commentators.
All right.
Okay,
can I say something regarding
yes, go ahead.
that? If that was the whole purpose of forming the Dominica Calypso Association, to have authority, to be able to say that, look, you are hurting the art, and we are there to defend it and protect it. I believe in a democracy. You can say, listen, we have a guideline that you need to follow whenever you are addressing Calypsonians on stage. And if you keep defying that and doing whatever you feel like anything, I say no one's commentators. I've seen that everywhere you guys, great commentators. And because of that they may say, and they may no longer be to you. So I'm saying that is our prerogative. We have a right to recognize what they can and what they cannot say about Calypso, because believe me, it's having a serious influence on Calypso. And it is working greatly at right now, because people thinking what they're hearing is really great Calypso, because this is great. When in fact, they are not great Calypso. Great Calypsos have been shoved aside, and we are listening to them taking the opinion as gospel. We need to make sure that all the coming true. The guy performed well, how he presented his song and things like that. But going and categorize Calypso and spin, I think I would give him that point. Oh, his coherence wasn't there, and I do think that he need to go and do some work, go back and go to the drawing board. I mean, where does that apply when you have never even written a song in your life?
Well, Trinidad, your point is a very, very valid point, and I made that early on to Observer off mic. Sometime when we were talking, I really think we need to not just sanitize voters' list, as I say, but we also need to sanitize the judging in Dominica, because that can really hurt the art form. Because depending on how people judge, it can skew the calypso in a certain direction. Because I remember, Shaky, we had calypso at first. Lyrics carried the most points more than melody. But at some point in time, some president of Calypso changed it and equated lyrics with melody. So you used to find long time in Dominica's Calypso, people could talk a song and escape because the lyrics carried much more weight than the melody. But when they equated melody together with lyrics, you find that people, they changed. More singers came into Calypso. Do you care to comment on that, Shaky?
Yeah, but before I do that, Vo, I want to address something Bingo said and something Tronada said.
Yeah.
Let's talk about those radio personalities doing commentary. In fact, let's go back to last year's competition, right? I was at my home listening to the competition on 2 radio stations, flipping between one and the other. And on one station, the commentators were certain a certain person was going to win, another was second. I totally disagreed. I believed it was another way. But lo and behold, when the results came, the person whom they thought would have won was nowhere close to winning. I said, are these people, I was going to say idiots, but I wouldn't say that. But are these people just not informed about Calypso and what Calypso is? That they would be there on the radio, blah, 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 as to who they think should win and who shouldn't win, and these people were nowhere close to winning. I think that's a problem. I like to listen to the competition in Trinidad, where they just let the people sing. There's no commentary about I think so and so going to win and I think blah 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 blah. Right? Just let the people sing. Let the people in the audience speak of their minds as to who they think is best, and leave it at that. So I think we have to pay attention to people in the media and what they say about the Calypsonians. It's not always nice. Their biases are coming through, and that's bad for the art form. Now, the judging, Mr. President, I do not know what criteria you use now, but I believe a good system to use is one where you would have, say, 9 judges. The highest score gets thrown out, the lowest score gets thrown out, and you take the others to decide who is king.
Yeah, that's done.
Yes, that is being done right now.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I'm happy you do that because again, my mind goes back to 1977. There were only 5 judges in the competition in 1977. On 4 scorecards, Shaky was king. Shaky will be, according to his 4 people, the 16-year-old guy is going to be the Calypso king. On 1 scorecard, the judge put Shaky down at number 7. And we ended up with a king who won by a point and a quarter. No, I'm not holding grudges. 1977, I've grown up. Lots has happened since then. But the unfairness of it all. I mean, people were crying in Arawak Theatre that night because they couldn't believe what had happened had just happened. And we didn't know why until afterwards we found out it was one judge who dragged Shaky to number 7, 4 others had Shaky at number 1. Something's wrong with that. I like the fact that you now have 9 judges now, Mr. President?
Yes. Finals.
We have 7 for quarterfinals, 7 for semis, and 9 for the finals. But
and you always the highest.
We always use the highest and the lowest have been thrown out, and we use the consistency in the center.
Shaky, as you're on that, I had the opportunity to judge in Trinidad twice, by the way. And the system is what you said there. But one thing I've been trying to get the Calypso Association to implement is the weighting system. In other words, in Trinidad, when you go to judge, they tell you a perfect Calypso. If you find a Calypso is outstanding, you rate it between 30 and 35. Okay? If you find it's mediocre, it goes between 25 to something else. Right. So at the end of the day, my weighting, if I say Calypso is good, I can only put it between 30 and 35 because some person's goods is 20 and 25. You understand what I'm saying? So you have a consistency about the weighting. We have not had that on your competition. I think that is the way we need to go. I've told that to Calypso Association a couple of times, a couple of workshops I had with them, and I think that gives you a more balanced view. So if you say something is good, then obviously you cannot say how something is good and have them as 20. Because some person's good as is 20, you know. Whilst if you're good, you force them to put it up between 30 and 35 if you say they are good. So waiting is something that we need to examine in our terms of our calypsos, I think.
That sounds like
I agree with you. That clocks proud the highest and
yes,
lowest.
and lowest, yes.
We'll get something that's much more fair. We won't have a repeat of 1977.
Oh, yes. Well, gentlemen, I must say, even in between, as we just about coming down to a close now before session with you guys, that Wizard would like to be on, but something happened, I think, in his workplace, and I think he's into the computers, and as a result, his services were required. Also, King Hurricane, I spoke to last night. After a long time, I got him, but he's on the road playing his music and so forth, and he said probably some other time, so he could not join us. But we're really happy that you, King Shaky, and of course, Chonada himself, you know, and two of the youngest finalists, I think, and kings in Dominica ever. And Dominicans need to know that these are the two youngest kings ever. What it was, 16 and what? Before you were 16 years when you won the crown?
I was the youngest from Trinidad, the next youngest.
Yeah.
Next youngest, but that's by about months or so.
Yeah, by
months. How old were you, Trinidad, when you won the crown? 81? 19. Okay, well, you were still the youngest because so second, yes, Trinidad is second.
I was younger than him.
He was younger, man.
Yes. And it's good that our Dominican people know about these things. And of course, we have Observer here as the president of Calypso and of Bingo. Well, I was told by Bingo that no longer Calypso Association existing as it used to be before in St. Lucia, and he was the last basically president. And in that capacity, he's here this evening, and we're really happy that you all guys could really join us. When we come back, guys,
before you run away, before you run away,
yes,
you played a King Shaky song earlier, Eba
Pudeba, yes.
I just want to play the record that on that version, it was sung by the Rabbit, that's my uncle, Rabbit. He sang it on that recording. We recorded that song in Hartford, Connecticut.
But your voice sounds very similar. Okay.
I sang it, in Dominica, in Trinidad.
Yes, I know.
But on that recording was the Rabbit, my wonderful uncle.
Yeah. But something I also need to say, Jonathan, observers making the point of Mike when the song was playing. Hold Your Head Up High still goes on record as one of the songs that everybody knew word for word. You sang that song and you didn't have to sing that song on stage in 81, you know. Everybody knew the song word. Everybody knew the song word for word.
I did some work with that song, and you see, being a student at SMA at the time, I shared the lyrics with every student. And
wow.
Grammar school and every school.
Everybody knew that,
young children just wanted that song. It's like just your song. So it was one of the most popular songs ever, as far as I know in Calypso.
Yeah.
And Trinidad did a wonderful performance of the song. I mean,
yes.
I wrote for Trinidad, I wrote for Spider also.
Yeah.
Spider was the defending king. I wrote his songs, I wrote Trinidad's songs. And when Trinidad did Hold My Head Up High, my brothers who were listening to me said, Trinidad's getting the crown tonight. Spider is losing. And they were correct. Trinidad just took the crowd, and everybody was singing with him. It was a great performance.
And the following year, he was going to win again in the Afraid, and then he messed up. I remember that very clearly.
So I heard
he was going to win again.
Yeah. The first wrong, right? I forgot my second verse. I might have just broke. I apologize to the crowd and say, okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to try again. When I started, I forgot the first verse, man. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, pressure of competition.
I could not even go home. I said in the back.
Yeah. So guys, let's just share our last words. Let's go ahead with Bingo, Observer, and let's share some last words before we say good night to our audience.
Yeah, well, I'll take it first because I have to go to a meeting.
All right, no problem.
Yeah, an executive meeting. So I just want to just thank you again, Ian, for giving us the opportunity to discuss Calypso and to keep Calypso in the hearts and minds of the general public, and to kind of bring awareness to some of the things that people may not know, some of the people that they may be hearing about but never really see them and know about them and getting the opportunity. I always take the opportunity to share my views and on things that can enhance the Calypso art form, and we just want to just call on the general public to continue to support Calypso, because Calypso, like I tell people, is the only genre of music that really speaks of the ills of society in a way that affects us on a daily basis. We are the only group of persons, and people must also understand that a Calypsonian is not an ordinary person. A Calypsonian is a brave soldier who comes and put his or herself on the line for the general public. Because whatever we sing are things that people meet us on a daily basis and ask us to sing. We're not ordinary people. We are persons who out there and doing the things that other people cannot do for themselves. And we are doing it for them. So we are the vessels of the people, instructed by the people, because all what we're singing are things that the people ask us to sing about. So we just ask them to come out and support the Calypsonians, support every Calypsonian. Let us put that politics thing aside and come and enjoy Calypso. So a carnival, enjoy the Calypso, support the Calypsonians, and let us keep the art form alive and moving, because it is important for us, and we would not want to be a society that doesn't have Calypso. I keep saying that to people and they take it for granted, but it's only when you lose something so important and significant that is when we will all put our hands on our head and say, boy, if Dice was there, boy, if Observer was there, boy, if this was there, boy, if JD was there, that is when we'll say, let us not reach that point. So come out and support us to keep the art form alive. Thank you very much.
27th is that big semi-final show. So let's hear what you have to say. Bingo, your last words.
Well, I just again want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here. I'm hoping I can share my experience with the Calypso Association. A couple of things I think that can be changed. For example, for any given night, for a set of judges to judge 32 Calypsos can be a little tedious. Your attention span can only be so much.
Yes.
So maybe like the other islands, I think Dominica is the only island still that have one quarterfinal night. Right? Maybe that's something they need to consider. They to look at it.
Probably have a couple more tents.
Yes, a couple more tents, and judge from the tents, and then you go into the big semi-final and the final.
Right.
I see a lot of the Caribbean islands going through that one song scenario. I think the only islands that still do two songs is St. Vincent, St. Lucia, and Dominica in the second round at the final.
Yeah, at the finals.
Even in Trinidad now, it's
one. It's one, yeah. And there are 15 songs. They increased the amount in the finals to 15, but they have one song also in Trinidad. Yeah.
So for whatever the reason is, I don't know, but I'm hoping Dominica doesn't get into that aspect of it. The other thing, let's hope somewhere, sometime, the government really gets involved in developing the art form. I think again, Dominica is the only island that the government doesn't subsidize the association. Like I said, as the last president of the association in St. Lucia, since then the government has basically taken over. They pay significant roles. They pay all the prize money. Performances in the tent.
Well, that's one of the situations, because Dominica Calypso is kind of unique, in the only Calypso in the region that we control our destiny per se. Yeah.
At this point, yes.
Yeah, at this point, yes.
But I mean, when you look at it, let's look at the prize monies that's been paid in Dominica.
Yes, it's really
vis-a-vis
not there.
the other islands.
Yeah. And in the private sector, I think only one time in our life we only had somebody get a car. I think it was Hurricane.
There you go.
You know?
I mean, even when I consider myself singing in the tent in Dominica, what I get on a nightly basis.
Yes.
Peanuts,
yes.
So maybe that's something that needs to be
looked
revisited.
at. Private sector.
Hopefully the government can get involved. I like the idea of the fact that the association still holds its destiny. But I think alongside that, the government should be able to give some sort of subvention to the association to allow them an easier method of handling the competition. But all in all, I think let's hope this sort of program can continue. The judging aspect is something I really need to look at. We only had one workshop this year. All right. And like you said, we need to cleanse that pool, the same set of judges
every year. Yes, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work well. No. So basically, let's just hope we can improve that come 2025 and move forward.
Yeah, well said. Jonathan, Shaky, let's hear your vibes.
Okay. In terms of what Bingo just said there, in terms of trying to get the government involved, I'm not really a fan of that. I don't support that. I believe that what we need to do is the association need to get more creative, come up with ways to really captivate the people, let them come to the show. For example, one of the things that I dislike in the competition now is that you're having your both songs out before the competition. I think that novelty of having one song, man, you wonder everybody who's going to win that crown. That is what I loved about Calypso the most when I was a young guy. I would go to the competition just to find out what's the next round. I wonder what Spider has next round. I wonder what NC has to really emerge as the monarch for that night. That adds to the show. People come with a yearning, wanting to know what do these guys have. You get a bigger audience. When you hear both songs, you already know who the king is. Easily, you can just say it's between these three guys. So what's the novelty? Where's the joy?
Well, that's a revolution. Just to pause it, that's a revolutionary thought, because there's a thinking all over Dominica and all over the Caribbean that we are publishing our songs too late. All songs should be out. So I've never heard this one. So it's new.
It works because people used to anticipate, people used to come there wondering who's going to win. Right now, when you hear both songs, haven't you made up your mind as to who you think the guys are? There's nothing to come to look forward to. What are you coming to the show to look forward to? But if you know nobody's second song, like it used to be, to me there is a challenge. The guy with you. So, because a calypso is something that you should just hear it and understand it.
Yeah.
If it takes me a week to understand the calypso, I will consider that a great song.
Because in support of what you're saying, Trinidad, I'm the King. The Reigning King trilogy benefited from that. Nobody knew his second song in the competition, and he really held the crowd audience. Yeah.
That's it.
So that's a good point. Shaky, let's say your vibes.
That's an interesting point. I don't know if I totally agree. That I think, what would help if Calypsonians and songwriters write songs throughout the year. And not wait until January approaches to start writing. Let's talk at Hold My Head Up High. This wonderful song that Tronada did back in 1981, right? I wrote that song on January 2nd. January 2nd of the prior year. Okay.
Wow.
So by the time Trada sang that song in the competition, the song was over 1 year old.
Okay.
But I wrote the song and I worked on it, and then he got it, and he was able to take that song and work it and make it what it became. But we had a lot of time because I'd written this song over a year before he performed it. And I think we need the writers to do that, and let Calypsonians get to know their songs so they don't forget their songs on stage. And the question comes when to release. I believe as soon as Christmas is over, we should jump straight into the Calypso songs. Maybe even before Christmas, but as soon as Christmas is over, we go from Christmas to Carnival and start promoting the songs so people would know them.
Shaky, would you still write now?
Release just one song and hide the second one. There might be merit to that, I don't know. But I would call for Calypso to be given much more prominence than it is right now.
All right.
And another thing is, don't stop Calypso on Ash Wednesday. It's strange. For Carnival, there's all this Calypso. Ash Wednesday come and suddenly no more Calypso on the radio. That's bad stuff. Let's continue to promote the art throughout the year.
Okay, well, guys, thank you very much. But I'm just asking, would you all guys contribute to writing as writers, especially you, Shaky, write some real prominent hits? Would you still contribute to writing? Because I think we have a dearth of writers right now in Dominica. It's myself, Patty Ron, Team Neuro, a few guys doing the stuff. But would you want to contribute?
There's a fella I really want to write for. He's called The Observer.
Okay.
And he sang a song some years ago that I really like, about the wretched of the earth. And I like that song so much, I really want to write for this fellow. So tell him, give me a shout.
All right.
Tronada, I have 2 songs for you, by the way. Give me a shout. You don't mind? Okay.
All right, guys. That's really nice of you joining us. And we want to say to the public listening that it's nice of you joining us. But we also want to mention that there are 2 books I want to introduce to the public. Something called Calypso Drift by Dominican broadcast journalist, communicologist, writer, Steinberg Henry. And he has now his PhD as a doctor. And there's another book called A Scuffling on of the Islands, Essay on Calypso by Gordon Roulet. I mean, he died sometime last year. I think it was either January or February. He passed on at the age of 80, 29th of January. And he wrote a lot about Calypso and so on. And recently, Steinberg Henry also did another book called Calypso Drift and Water. And these are two publications that I like to draw the general public to. You can go online and get it on Amazon and do some reading, some wonderful work by our own Dr. Steinberg Henry and, of course, the late Gordon Roulet. So I think it's a good time that we say good night. Next week, we'll have, as part of our discussion, we'll speak to Miss Ivinia Benjamin. You know, she's into, she is a publisher, published books, and we'll have some other interesting matter that we can also talk to and discuss. And I think we have Ken Robinson and so hooked up to speak about Nature Island Studio and how recording in Dominica all began. You know, it started with Mark Marie and Ken Robinson, basically. And we also have Ivinia Benjamin who's going to speak about the processes involved in actually getting your book published. So good night, guys. And until next time, just want to invite you next week, Tuesday from 6 o'clock, and be here as we unearth some of the information and talent right here on Art Culture and Literary Business right here on Q95 from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. When you come back, you will be exposed to another voice and I'll be speaking to the manager himself, Mr. G, and his program. Thanks, Lambi, for sharing the console with us and making things happen.
Okay, thanks.